right, my name is Paul Lesher, and I'll be doing the first part of the webinar today. I'll be talking about updates, and then George will take it over and talk about part one of our training series on equipment. Our next webinar will be September 14th, not September 7th, as that is Labor Day and we will not be in the office, so we will be having it on the 14th. So for updates, we haven't had a lot of updates since our July webinar. We did update financials to allow multiple financials in a single fiscal year. I covered that in our financials webinar. And after the financials training session, we also updated the financial statements and we made the calculated spreadsheet a little bit more consistent. So some changes there. For our new invoice post, we allow you now to modify an invoice if all the associated payments are voided. So if you have like multiple payments to an invoice and you void them all, then you can now modify any part of that invoice, whereas before you could not. In purchase orders, there was a issue where the autofill button would be grayed out. So when you click create a new purchase order, there's a little button next to the purchase order number that you can click and it'll automatically fill in the purchase order number before you click save, so you can get that number before you hit save. In payroll, we updated multiple payroll windows, so the search window is always now sorted by code, like deduction code or bank code or payroll code. Whereas before it was not sorted by code. I think it was sorted by the order in which it was entered in the database. And then we had an issue in import time card where the equipment code was not properly saved for direct equipment expense. That has been fixed. And then we updated the PR list to a new report engine. And then we also finally fixed the issue where when you're in a drill down, it will return you to page one. Now it returns you back to the page you were on and not page one. So that has been fixed. So like I said, we didn't have a lot of updates. Before we move on to equipment, I just want to open it to any general questions that anybody has before I hand it over to George. So I'm going to pause here for a minute, and then if there's no questions, I will hand it over to George.
All right. Thank you, Paul. My name is George Lesher. Everybody should be knowing me, but if you're new to the Road Commission or you're in the equipment group and you haven't really been to many of these, I am the president of Koch Incorporated, and I'm going to be covering today equipment. So in equipment, we've done a lot. This is going to be like a revolution or like brand new software. There's quite a bit of things we've done to equipment. Let's just start at the beginning. What prompted all this was to add support for integrating data from fleet management provider. Samsara is our first one we did. We will do others if anybody else has a fleet management provider they're using. Perhaps Verizon is one we've been tickled with. We just need, the issue that we have is we can't just go to Verizon and say we want to do it. We actually have to have a customer that has Verizon to say they want to help us do it, and we will be glad to, then be able to use their credentials to be able to get access to putting that in. So if you've got something else besides that, there's Fleet.io. There's a variety of them out there. So if you are using something else to do that, just let us know. We'll be glad to integrate it in. Today, I'll be showing the Samsara one, just so we have it. We're good. We also wanted to get a fresh look to the equipment. So we've changed import fuel settings, meter readings, preventive maintenance, work orders, and scheduled maintenance. So there's just a lot of things in here that are all new, and I'm going to be covering them pretty good, pretty deep, pretty in depth, I should say, between today and tomorrow's webinars that we're going to be doing. Today is mostly going to be looking at the equipment itself and the standard pieces of equipment like import fuel, Schedule C rates, things like that, just so you kind of get a feel for it. We also added the beginnings of FEMA support to the updated Schedule C rates. So I'll be showing that a little bit. That's where you can set up a FEMA code for your piece of equipment, and we have a spot for the Schedule C rates for FEMA to be used. So there's some other intricacies. We'll probably have a follow-up webinar just talking about how to use and access all the FEMA support. Just so you know, though, we did add some additional things to the equipment at this point, so you will have ability to do FEMA in the future. We updated all the equipment reports to the newer report runner thing, and we're adding sorting features and a variety of other things to each report. So again, just we're taking our time to make sure everything has been completely updated correctly and it has all the features that we would want in the system. So we also created a detailed report showing all the values from the equipment. We didn't have that before. A lot of people have asked for that. So it's a 1 page per piece of equipment showing all of the settings that's in equipment main at this point, minus a few of the other ones like tires and specs, because we have individual reports for those already. Once the release is out, when we're going to be putting this out, so we're hoping towards the end of August that this will be released. But once the update has been completed, there's a couple of things that are important for you guys to remember. And one is to review your security rights, because we have brand new menu items as well as brand new reports. So you want to make sure that those, if you've limited your equipment people to just seeing the equipment things, you want to make sure that they have access to the new menu items when the security comes out. Also, one of the things that we did, we formalized the garage ID. So make sure that has the correct values. And if you need, we have an export to Excel set that we released that will show the garage location settings that you previously had created in the older version. It's really hard to, garage location was just an open field before, so you could type in, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it would take it. So, we didn't want to try to convert it. After looking at several different databases, we just couldn't convert everything. So we're asking, those are done by hands. It's not that hard garages aren't too bad. All right, so before I jump into question and answer, I'm going to go through our show and tell version of this. So I'm just going to end the slideshow and we're going to jump right into it. So this is the new preventive maintenance screen. If you won't see this item here, if you don't have fleet management set up, but I do have fleet management set up, so you'll go there. But let's begin at the very beginning, and that's the standard equipment mate. And you'll notice immediately that equipment mate has been radically modified, obviously. So it's much like our other ones where you have the ability to find any piece of equipment. You can simply just type it in. So let's say I want to go to 023 and I hit enter. I'm on 023's piece of equipment. Oh, I'd like to also thank the road commissions at this point that have been testing the new stuff. It's been very helpful for your feedback. We'll be getting in touch with every one of our testers to do a final, review of things. But again, so sorry, I just wanted to pop that in there before I forgot about it. Again, equipment has always had a lot of extra things, but if you'll notice in here, we have a FEMA code where you can put a FEMA code in, much like your state rate or state codes. You have a FEMA code you can specify. And then we already have the table set up for the FEMA rate to go in. Assets, again, it's just a matter of, these are all, things that we had before. This is the new meter reading from, you'll see this tomorrow more, what's going on there with the way we're doing meters. Components is the same. Tires and spec we kind of put together. So tires, this one doesn't have any tires. Let's see if I can find something that has a tire. Again, this isn't, my guess is down here on some of these tractors maybe. There we go. So on this John Deere tractor, we got the 2 tires in the front, the tire codes in the back, and some spec information. So you can kind of see, you can specify these things, you can not specify, you can add more tires. We let you have as many as you want for tire specs, but generally there's just usually front and back or the same tires on all 4 for most vehicles. Work order task, we're allowing you to put a date range in. So if you don't, you may want to see it from the dawn of time. If you do, we just recommend you just type in, 1900, and then you can say load work orders, and you will see from the dawn of time all the work orders. This one goes back to 2006. But otherwise, if you just go into it from the get-go, and we go back to the dozer for John Deere, can't find it, so If I could type in John, that'd be helpful. So here's my John Deere's. I think it was this one. Well, it was probably this one. Yeah, this is one. Okay. So work order and specs. Again, we're just going back, looks like 5 years, 6 years from today, something like that. So you can load the work orders, and we only have two recent ones, and those are just because I put stuff in. So again, we're trying to limit, a lot of times you don't need to see the 400 work orders you would have, but you can. Now, these are also tasks. So these aren't just, if the work order had more than one task, again, I'm kind of getting into a little bit for tomorrow, you would see this number 2 times, one for each of the tasks that it was done. History, this is showing the different histories for the piece of equipment. When you click on it, it is from the dawn of time, but you will see these are employee hours that were used against that piece of equipment for repair. These are the charges when the equipment was used on a road. This is inventory parts that were applied to this piece of equipment. And then these are direct APs that were specified as direct charges. We have a direct general ledger journal that was done to it. A variety of things like that, just so you can see, everything that was done to this piece of equipment. All right. So in the notes we have notes, basically it's a dated note range. So the note can be as big as you want. I think it's 2,000 characters, but you can, specify a new note by clicking the plus. You put a note, you put the day's date in there and click the little thing, and you got a whole big thing to put a big long note in. So lots of notes. And so then you see it. Simple enough. If you don't like a note, you can delete a note by clicking the X. You can see all the notes by expanding everything. It's simple, just a simple, again, really straightforward kind of things. So we're going to go through real quick. We're going to look at the FEMA codes. So I set up the FEMA code to be on the first one. Again, if you click off of something, if you have made changes, it will ask you for those changes. Again, we're going to come in here. We have a FEMA code of 8081. So that's one of your FEMA rate codes that they have in there for forklifts. So we don't have the rate, we don't know what it is. So we're going to come up into the update Schedule C rates. And we can pick a year, 2026. We can say update FEMA rates if you check that, it will do it. So that if I just say update, by just bring it in, it'll do 824 and FEMA rates for two. I have two pieces of equipment that have a FEMA rate, but I'll go ahead and say yes. So we updated it, simple as that. And then we come back to equipment. I hit the refresh on this and I will see the rate be in here. And there's your FEMA rate that was added. So then when this piece of equipment is used on a FEMA road or on a FEMA account, then we will use the FEMA rate instead of the state rate. Should all make sense, sort of. Again, I'm not positive this is the right code for a forklift, but I just picked one of the codes out of the book to put it in. So that pretty much covers the couple of things that are important about things in here. So I'm going to go a little bit slower when I do a new one. So let's create a brand new piece of equipment. You need to give it a code. I'm going to give mine 6565. It's going to be, let's make it something interesting. It's going to be a Ford pickup. If I could type. I don't know what the VIN is yet. The category is truck. And again, the categories are up to you guys to whatever you want to put in there, but we use it for the lookup. Serial number, I don't know what it is. It doesn't really have a serial number. It has a VIN. So then the make is Ford. The model is F350. And the model year is 2026. Okay, so then we have garages set up. So I'm going to pick, this is going to go in the Greenville garage. I don't know what the state code is yet, but the plate number is 342135. I don't know the FEMA code. I don't know the radio. I don't know any of these things yet, but I do know the warranty because I just bought it. The warranty is a 7-year powertrain. All right, I'm not going to suppress duplicate checks because only one person at a time can use it. I can save it now. And then I can come through the asset and say, okay, the date I purchased this was last month. We purchased it in the 16th. The date it was delivered was after the dealer got done from the purchase, it was the 22nd. The time it got to be in service when we were done with putting all of our radios and things in it was 8/1. We don't have a fixed asset on it yet, so that'll get added at some point. We didn't lease it. Vehicles, it's a gas vehicle, it's not diesel. Components, again, you can fill all this out, you don't have to. Tires and specs, you can click on the plus, add a tire. You can put in specifications if you want. Of course, there's not going to be any work orders history, or you can put a note in here. Usually it's a good idea to throw out a little note at the beginning to say this is, purchase date from this place. We also have, as part of the assets, you can say who you bought it from. If there was a invoice number or a AP number that went, for invoicing, it went with it, you could put that in here. The rest is for later as you go, like if you dispose of it, gain or loss on the disposal. What's the fixed asset that was created to follow this piece of equipment around? Things like that are all, part of it. So we're going to go ahead and save this. We're going to go into vehicle. We're going to save this. So we have this code in here, the new 6565. All right. So then we're going to show you a little bit about fuels. Now, a lot of places didn't know we had import fuel readings. We've had this for a while. It was one of the hidden gems, I think, of our equipment. But we have a variety of places already configured for the different layouts. But if you don't have one of these layouts and you have a different fuel system, just call us. It only takes us a couple of hours to, get the fuel system configured so that we can get a file from it and put it into our system. So today I've got Wexford's, so I'm going to go ahead and import the file, and here's our Wexford fuel import. We bring it in, and you'll notice here's all my equipment codes that's listed, and the dates and the readings of the quantity. The list shows everything that's going to be brought in. We haven't done anything yet. All we did was read the file and verify, but we do have one problem. It looks like fuel code truck 09 wasn't found. So we're going to go ahead and fix this so we have it. So I'm going to close this, and we're going to go back to equipment, and our 65, our fuel system card here is 009, I think. And I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go back to import fuel, and we'll pick the same file. Oh, I didn't set up the account codes for that, see? And so it will show you, because I don't have a 512 DFE account set up for 6565 yet. So we would need to set that up, but I'm not going to do that. I am just going to go back to equipment, and that wasn't the right piece of equipment to use. So I'm going to save the change, and we're going to go to 414. He looks like a good guy, 414. And I'll make him 09. Save. Import the fuel. Wexford. And everything is good. So all the pieces of fuel got brought in. So I can go ahead and say post, and it generated an invoice journal with all your fuel postings put in. But now what it did, because I didn't check on the use the dates, it put everything effective date of 8/3. You may not have wanted that. So if I go into inventory post and I bring up my imported fuel, you'll notice everything was dated 8/3 throughout this. That's not what I really wanted. I really wanted the date they were in. So I'm going to go ahead and say delete all. And we'll go back to equipment, and we will import our fuel readings. Again, this time I will check use effective dates. And if your fuel readings happen to have mileage, and we'll bring it in when we open it. We don't have mileage on this one, so their system doesn't track mileage at Wexford from their fuel. But if it did, you could check that and it would update the new meter readings correctly. But for now, we're just going to use the effective dates. Now I'm going to post it. So 6806 is our inventory journal. So if I go back to inventory, I'll have to post 06. Effective date is 6/15, 5/28. So the effective date does show the same date as the fuel that you read from your fuel system through that for everything. So you can see it's, pretty straightforward for these items. When we come back into equipment, we have change equipment code. This is how you would change a piece of equipment. So you have your old code number, bang, 530B. You want to change that. Let's say, no, that's not a good one. Let's pick something that would make sense. Let's say this chainsaw is just being retired, so we don't want it anymore. So we're just going to make it an R247 because it's retired. You hit change code. Now this might blow up because I don't know if it's got everything done. Yeah, okay, good. Did it. It's got to close. So I got to run my current one here. I'm back in, and if I go to equipment, I will have piece of equipment. I will come in here and I will have a R. Well, it looks like this place is using R at the end. Okay. I made one at the R at the beginning, so you should see our R247 in here, I would think. Unless I picked a chainsaw that was already, let me take the limit off. I pick a chainsaw that was already, yeah. I picked a chainsaw that was already disposed of. Had a disposal date. Okay. Well, as you can see, sometimes it worked, but it just wouldn't show because we have this limit button that will only show you the active pieces of equipment and won't show you any disposed of equipment at all, which is helpful for a lot of things because it just keeps you with looking at your primary pieces of equipment that you are working on day in, day out. We also have pulled out items. This is where you would set up the new item is the garage location. So make sure you have your garage set up, and we're using that now in the equipment mate for where a piece of equipment is normally housed. That's really all I have for today. Tomorrow is going to be a much bigger day because we're going to be talking about we're going to start out with meter readings. We'll be looking at the assigned vehicles to FMP, the work orders, and the preventive maintenance and the schedule maintenance. So I'm going to give you a 2-minute overview of what that's going on. But again, tomorrow we'll have it as well. Meter readings is where you put in your meter readings. You can load it from a file. You can get it from a fleet management provider for your piece of equipment. Then you would come into preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance is where you'd be setting up your task, your groups, and your what we call the deltas. So, how often, when does this change? When does it do? Things like that. So we have our deltas on here. And then you'd run the schedule maintenance, and that will show you all the maintenances that need to be scheduled and coming up, coming due, and let you create the work orders, and then you bring in the work orders. So you can kind of see everything has been modified, changed, updated for it. So tomorrow, again, we'll be covering that. I am going to close out this part of the training. Is there anything else that somebody would want to see? I'm open for questions now. Thanks for attending today. I know it was a kind of quick for a run through of the new equipment. Again, the expected date of delivery of this will be towards the end of August.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.